Clark County Today is presented by Connell Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting connellrealestate.com.
Hey everyone, Chris Brown here with your ClarkCountyToday.com video update for Thursday, December 10th. Well, Clark County added 129 new COVID-19 cases since yesterday, along with 6 more deaths reported, bringing the pandemic total to 10,357 cases with 121 deaths. The county also increased their number of cases considered active to over 1,000, and that number jumped after it was learned that only people who'd been contacted by case investigators with the county were being counted in the total previously, which fewer than half of people agreed to. Now, hospitalizations have been lower this week. That's some good news, with 53 confirmed and 7 suspected cases in Clark County hospitals as of today. That makes up just under 10% of total bed space. Well, even with that lower number of people hospitalized recently, Peace Health Southwest says they are still bracing for a potential influx of patients. The concern isn't so much bed space, as the hospital's medical director, Dr. Lawrence Neville. It's having enough people to care for the sick.
We have plenty of beds. We can always make more beds. We can set up tents. We can, open up wings of the hospital that, we don't have to use currently. It's having the qualified nurses and pharmacists and doctors who are well and healthy and able to work that's going to be the issue if we see, say a doubling of our COVID-19 numbers.
Jackie DeCillo is a registered nurse in charge of a COVID unit. She says the people that she's working with feel much more confident now, even with the higher numbers, than they did earlier in the pandemic.
Learning about how to take care of the patients, it was a challenge at first, but the nurses adapt. They help us to refine our processes that we put into place. They're the ones that are really key to ensuring that we do have the right processes in place to take care of the patients. And they gain confidence over time. It's like watching a new nurse who enters the profession build their skill. And so at first they have that nervousness, but then as they progress, they build their confidence.
Well, Peace Health recently reopened a COVID unit at their St. John's location in Longview, and that partially accounts for the drop in Clark County patients since they were being sent here. As of this week, the hospital has also instituted new restrictions on visitors in an attempt to keep staff and patients safe. Well, inmates at the Clark County Jail had their usual dinners interrupted this week after a couple of people who work in the jail's kitchen tested positive for COVID-19. Clark County Sergeant Brent Waddell says food was brought in from Burgerville one day, Domino's the next, to feed the inmates. The jail is working on contracting with an outside company to begin making meals. A part of the problem is that low-risk inmates generally are allowed to do kitchen or laundry work in the jail's work center, but many of them were released earlier in the pandemic to make more room for isolation areas and intake quarantine. As of today, there are 27 cases of COVID-19 at the jail considered active. No inmate has had to be hospitalized due to the virus. The Clark County Council has made the decision to hold off on making a decision about whether to implement a new 0.1% sales tax increase to raise money for affordable housing projects. The most recent legislature approved House Bill 1590, largely along party lines, which gives local governments the ability to enact the tax, which previously would have required a vote of the people. The city of Vancouver is the only municipality in Clark County so far to enact the new tax. At a work session to discuss the legislation and tax today, councilors Gary Medvegey and Julie Olson supported a delay in order to do more study and then likely put the tax in front of voters anyway. Councilor Temple Lentz said she would support a public vote, but worried the delay would impact people affected by COVID-19 and at risk of becoming homeless. To read more about the debate, be sure to check out our full story at ClarkCountyToday.com. Speaking of voting, a recent 3-2 decision by the Clark County Council to ban fireworks not deemed safe and sane starting late next year may be headed to the ballot box. Peter Silliman, a former freeholder and policy analyst, told Clark County Today his phone started ringing off the hook with angry people after the vote happened last week, so he decided to file a referendum to get the ban in front of voters.
Today we're submitting 359 signatures for a proposed referendum here in Clark County to rescind the past ordinance that will ban basically all fireworks that aren't considered California safe and sane in Clark County, which the Clark County Council passed last week. We gathered the signatures this week. This is the first step in the process of putting that on the ballot for either the council to rescind or for the voters to get to decide for themselves whether this is going to be Clark County law.
Starting in January, supporters of the ballot referendum will have 120 days to collect signatures. The council could also choose to retake up the issue next year after Karen Bowerman takes over for outgoing councilor John Blum. Speaking of fireworks, Clark County Today editor Ken Vance is not a fan of them, but he is a fan of liberty and freedom. In his column today, he discusses each of those issues.
Fireworks have long been a controversial topic around Clark County, and that doesn't appear to be changing anytime soon. Earlier this month, members of the Clark County Council approved new restrictions on what types of fireworks can be sold or used in the rural, unincorporated areas of Clark County. The new law is scheduled to go into effect on December 31st, 2021. It will prohibit fireworks that explode, fly more than a foot into the air, or travel more than 6 feet along the ground. The council passed the ban with a 3-2 vote, despite the fact that 63% of the citizens who submitted comments were opposed to the restrictions. Listen, I'm not a fan of fireworks. They're expensive, noisy, and dangerous. But I am a fan of liberty and freedom. And at this time, it seems like each day we are having more and more of our liberty and freedom taken away from us by our elected officials. I'm a conservative, first and foremost, because I believe in a smaller, less intrusive government. I don't need or want to be told how to live my life by our government leaders. Enough is enough.
Well, thanks for that, Ken. Hey, if you want to share your own thoughts about this, and I'm sure you have them, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can see when stories are posted and be part of the often lively conversation, and even send us feedback and story suggestions. Well, last week, reporter John Lee with Clark County Today donated blood to the Red Cross amidst a nationwide shortage. He also mentioned that they are currently testing any donated blood to see if COVID-19 antibodies might be present, since they can be used to help people currently fighting an infection. Well, as a quick update, John says about 4 days after his donation, he learned through the Red Cross app he apparently has not been infected with COVID-19. By the way, if you'd like to help out, you're still very much needed. Be sure to visit ClarkCountyToday.com to find out where donations can be made or schedule it through the Red Cross. And that is our Thursday update from ClarkCountyToday.com. If you have a news tip, a story idea, or a letter you'd like to share with us, those can be sent to us via email as well, news@ClarkCountyToday.com. For all of us, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back with you again tomorrow.